The gavel slammed down like a gunshot in that stuffy probate courtroom in downtown Chicago, and just like that, the house on Elm Street was mine. Grandma's creaky old Victorian, the one she'd poured her soul into since Grandpa died back in '89. But as the judge's words echoed off the wood-paneled walls, my father's glare from the back row burned hotter than the summer asphalt outside. A silent promise of hell to pay for the secret I'd spilled at her bedside 2 weeks before she slipped away. Dorian. He'd hissed on the phone last night, his voice gravelly from too many Marlboros. You think it will change his blood? Family sticks together, son, even when one of us goes rogue. I gripped the armrest of my beat-up Honda Civic as I barreled down I-94 toward Evanston, the Lake Michigan wind whipping through the cracked window, carrying the faint salt of freedom I'd only just tasted. It was July 2018, and at 28, I'd finally clawed my way out of the closet after years of pretending. For Dad's Baptist sermons, for Mom's tearful pleas at Thanksgiving, for the brother who'd always treated me like the family punchline. Grandma knew, though, in her final days, hooked to machines in that sterile Northwestern hospital room, she'd squeezed my hand and whispered, "Own it, Dorian. Own every damn inch of who you are. That house? It's yours. Let it be your anchor." Her eyes, faded blue like the lake on a calm day, had locked onto mine, fierce as ever. The woman who'd baked apple pies for civil rights marches in the '60s and never once batted an eye at my artistic sketches of boys in high school. The house loomed at the end of Elm like a sentinel from another era. Peeling sage-green paint, wraparound porch sagging just enough to creak under your boots, turret window staring out like a cyclops eye. I'd spent summers there as a kid, hiding in the attic with dog-eared copies of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, dreaming of a life beyond the Rust Belt factories Dad slaved in. Now it was mine, a fresh start. I parked crookedly, keys jingling in my pocket like Lucky Charms, and bounded up the steps, the screen door banging behind me in that familiar rhythm. Inside, the air hung heavy with dust and lavender. Grandma's signature sachets still tucked in drawers. Sunlight slanted through lace curtains, painting golden dust motes on the hardwood floors scarred by generations of feet. I ran my fingers over the kitchen table, where she'd taught me to knead dough, her arthritic hands guiding mine. "Life's like this bread, Dory," she'd say, her voice a warm drawl from her Georgia roots transplanted to the Windy City. "You gotta punch it down, let it rise again. And don't you dare apologize for the yeast that makes it all fluff up." Tears pricked my eyes then, hot and unbidden, but I swiped them away. This was home now, my home. That's when I met Gabriel. Not in some rom-com meet-cute at a coffee shop, but right there on the porch that first evening, as I hauled boxes from the trunk, sketch pads, thrift store lamps, a rainbow flag I'd bought on impulse in Boys Town. He was the neighbor, the guy from 2 doors down who'd wave from his garden, all lean muscle and easy smiles under a thatch of dark curls. "Need a hand?" he'd called, jogging over in faded Levi's and a Cubs tee, his voice carrying that South Side lilt, rough around the edges like the best kind of blues. By the time we'd lugged the last box inside, sweat beading on our brows, the sun had dipped low, turning the sky bruise purple. He lingered in the doorway, wiping his hands on his jeans, and I caught myself staring at the way his hazel eyes crinkled when he grinned, at the tattoo peeking from his sleeve, a compass rose inked in black and gray. "I'm Gabe," he said, extending a calloused hand. "Artist, handyman, occasional philosopher. Heard about your grandma. She was a force, used to trade me tomatoes for my bad poetry." "Dorian," I replied, my palm enveloping his, warm and steady. "And yeah, she was, still is, in a way." We talked till the fireflies blinked on, perched on the porch swing that groaned like an old friend. He told me about growing up queer in a Polish Catholic family, the beatings from his uncle, the first time he'd kissed a boy behind a Southside mural. I spilled about the closet, the family dinners where I choked down turkey while Dad quoted Leviticus. Laughter bubbled up between us, tentative at first, then free, real, like breathing after holding your breath underwater too long. When he brushed my knuckles goodbye, accidental on purpose, a spark jumped, electric as a summer storm. The weeks blurred into a rhythm I'd never known. By day, I sketched in the turret, charcoal flying over paper as I captured the curve of Gabriel's jaw, the flex of his forearms as he rebuilt the garden fence we'd toppled during a tipsy wrestling match over who owed the other a beer. By night, we'd wander the Evanston streets, hands brushing in the shadows of oak-lined sidewalks, sharing falafel from that hole in the wall on Dempster or stealing kisses in the alley behind the Art Institute, where the city lights glittered like distant stars. "Your trouble, Dorian Hale," he'd murmur against my neck, his breath hot and teasing. The kind that makes a man forget his own name. But trouble had another face, one that slunk in with my family's Sunday calls. Mom's voice, syrupy sweet over the line. "We're just worried, honey. That house is big for one person. And with your lifestyle." Dad grunted in the background, a low thunder. My brother, Tyler, the golden boy with his wife and 2.4 kids on the way, texted passive-aggressive Bible verses. Leviticus 18 verse 22. I ignored them, buried myself deeper in the house's embrace. The way the floorboards sighed underfoot, the secret pantry where Grandma hid moonshine during Prohibition stories she'd whisper like fairy tales. Gabriel became my shield, his arms wrapping around me on stormy nights when thunder rattled the windows, his whispers chasing away the ghosts. We planned a road trip, a escape hatch from the creeping tension. 2 weeks, he said one August evening, sprawled on the living room rug amid scattered takeout cartons, his head in my lap as I carted fingers through his curls. Route 66 vibes, Chicago to Santa Fe. Just us, bad diner coffee, and horizons that don't end. I booked the tickets on a whim, a cheap flight to Albuquerque, rental car waiting. It felt like defiance, like claiming the life Grandma had gifted me. I left the house keys with a locksmith for safekeeping, told the family I was taking a breather, and we were gone, chasing sunsets across the heartland. The Southwest swallowed us whole. Red Rock canyons in Zion, neon motels in Gallup, Gabriel's laughter echoing off canyon walls as we hiked hand in hand. No hiding, no glances over shoulders. For the first time, I felt whole, unfractured. We made love under star-pricked skies. Tender, unspoken promises, not the frantic kind. Talked futures. Him opening a tattoo shop in some artsy town. Me illustrating queer graphic novels that didn't end in tragedy. "This is us, D," he'd say, tracing my collarbone. Building something real. But reality crashed back on day 10. In a dusty Taos cafe with adobe walls and the scent of green chiles frying. My phone buzzed, Tyler of all people. "Call me. Now." His voice was clipped, urgent, not the usual smug drawl. Heart pounding, I stepped outside, the New Mexico sun baking the gravel lot. "What the hell, Ty?" "It's the house, Dorian. It's sold." The words landed like a sucker punch, stealing my breath. Sold? To some developer sniffing around Evanston's up-and-coming pockets, flipping Victorians into soulless condos. While I was gone. Gone for 2 weeks. They'd petitioned the court, claimed undue influence on Grandma's will, painted me as the unstable one, the lifestyle risk. Dad had signed the papers. Mom co-signed with tears. Tyler notarized it all. The closing was yesterday. My key? Useless now, a scrap of metal in my pocket. I drove us back in a haze, Gabriel's hand on my thigh the only anchor as the miles blurred. Betrayal coiled in my gut, hot and venomous. Not just the house, but the erasure. Grandma's anchor yanked away because I dared to love a man. We pulled up to Elm Street at midnight, the porch light off, a chain-link fence sagging where the house should be. No, the house was still there, sage paint gleaming under street lamps, but a garish sold sign stabbed the lawn like a grave marker, realtor's placard flapping in the wind. I stumbled out, knees buckling on the dew-slick grass, and that's when the climax hit. Not with fists or shouts, but a flood. Sobs racked me, raw and animal, as Gabriel knelt beside, pulling me close, his shirt soaking through. "They can't take what she gave you," he whispered. But his voice cracked, fury simmering beneath. Headlights sliced the dark. Dad's old Ford F-150 rumbling up, Tyler in the passenger seat, Mom's silhouette in the back like a ghost. Dad killed the engine, stepped out heavy-booted, his flannel shirt untucked over a beer gut. "Dorian," he started, arms crossed like a barricade. This was for the best. That place is too much. You're off gallivantin' with him. His eyes flicked to Gabriel, disdain curling his lip. Tyler hung back, avoiding my gaze, the brother who'd shared bunk beds with me, now complicit in the knife twist. You sold it? I choked out, rising on shaky legs, the sold sign mocking us all. My inheritance. Grandma's dying wish. Because I'm gay? Because I finally stopped lying for you? Mom whimpered from the truck, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, but Dad advanced, voice rising like a sermon. Family provides, son. We sold it to keep you from ruining yourself. Get a job, settle down proper like. This phase, it'll pass. Gabriel surged forward then, his hand finding mine, a united front. Phase? That's your son you're gutting, man. For what? Your Bible club discomfort. The air crackled, suspense thick as the humid night, Dad's fist clenching, Tyler shifting like he might bolt. I braced for the swing, the shatter, years of suppressed rage boiling over. But Mom slid from the truck, frail in her cardigan, and placed a trembling hand on Dad's arm. Hank? She murmured, voice breaking the spell. Look at him. Our boy. For a heartbeat, silence reigned, broken only by crickets and distant train whistles. Dad's shoulders sagged, the fight leaching out like air from a punctured tire. He met my eyes, not with fire, but weariness, the lines etched deeper by regret he couldn't voice. We thought, protecting you, he muttered, glancing at the house. Its windows dark now, a stranger's future lurking inside. Tyler stepped up, awkward, mumbling, I signed cause. Dad said it was mercy. I'm sorry, Dory. God, I'm sorry. The rain started then, fat drops pattering the leaves, washing the ink from the sign. We stood there, a fractured family under the deluge, Gabriel's grip the only dry warmth. No blows landed, no doors slammed in finality. Instead, Mom hugged me, fierce and soggy, whispering, she loved you fierce, baby. We're trying to. Dad nodded, gruff, clapping my shoulder once. Hard enough to bruise, soft enough to heal. They drove off into the storm, taillights fading red smears. The house was lost, sold to faceless suits who'd gut its heart for profit. But as Gabriel and I trudged to his place down the street, dripping and spent, something shifted. The betrayal scarred deep, a reminder that love could wound sharper than hate. Yet in the wreckage, grace flickered. My family's halting steps toward understanding, Grandma's spirit in the wind chime song from a neighbor's yard. Months later, we pooled savings for a tiny bungalow in Pilsen, murals blooming on brick walls, Gabriel's tattoos gracing the fence. I illustrated a memoir, Anchors Away, tales of queer Midwestern boys finding sea legs in choppy waters. Dad calls now, awkward check-ins about Cubs scores. Mom sends clippings of pride parades. Tyler even showed at our housewarming, beer in hand, toasting to risin' again. It's not the Victorians' turret views, but our porch swing creaks just right, and under it, Gabriel's head rests in my lap, curls tickling my fingers. We built this he says, echoing Grandma. And in the quiet, I know she's right. Life's yeast rises, unapologetic, fluffing us toward whatever dawn breaks next. Human hearts, cracked as they are, still beat the rhythm of home.